She used to run from room to room, her laughter echoing against the walls, her feet pounding the floor like tiny drums. But one evening, as her mother called her for dinner, Ayla didn't come running. She sat on the floor, staring at her legs as if they belonged to someone else. "I'm tired," she said softly. At first, it seemed harmless. Children get tired. Parents worry too much. But days passed, and the tiredness didn't leave. Ayla began holding onto furniture when she walked. Then she avoided the stairs completely. One morning, she tried to stand and fell back onto the bed, her eyes wide with fear. "Mom," she whispered, her voice shaking, "my legs don't listen to me." That was the moment fear entered the house and never fully left. Hospitals became their second home. White corridors, beeping machines, doctors with serious faces flipping through reports. Tests followed tests, blood drawn, scans taken, needles inserted. Each appointment ended with the same tight smiles and careful words. "It's complicated. It's rare. We need more time." Daniel, her father, watched silently as her mother asked questions through tears. He held Ayla's hand while she lay still inside cold machines, promising her ice cream afterward, promising her everything would be okay, even when he didn't believe it himself. Finally, a diagnosis arrived like a verdict. A rare neurological condition, progressive, no guaranteed cure. "But she'll walk again, right?" her mother asked, clutching her purse with trembling hands. The doctor hesitated. "We can try," he said. "But you should prepare yourselves." Hope became expensive. They traveled to a billionaire-funded hospital overseas, the kind people spoke about with awe. The walls were spotless, the doctors famous, the treatments cutting edge. For the first time, Ayla's mother smiled with real hope, convinced that money and technology could fix anything. Months passed in sterile rooms filled with silent prayers. Ayla endured painful therapies, injections, endless exercises that left her exhausted and confused. Daniel watched his daughter wince but never complain. He watched his wife slowly fade, guilt carving deep lines into her face. Then came the final meeting. The lead specialist spoke calmly, professionally, as if delivering routine news. "We've done all we can." The words hung in the air. She may never walk again. Ayla's mother didn't scream. She didn't argue. Her knees buckled, and she collapsed onto the hospital floor, sobbing uncontrollably, her hands pressed to her chest as if her heart were breaking apart. Doctors looked away. Nurses stood frozen. In the corner of the room, Daniel stood still, staring at his sleeping daughter. While everyone else saw an ending, he saw a beginning. Why they left. Suitcases sat unopened in the corner, as if even they were ashamed of carrying broken hope back into the house. Ayla's wheelchair stood near the door, silent and accusing. The laughter that once filled the rooms was gone, replaced by the ticking of a clock that seemed too loud for such sadness. Ayla's mother changed first. She stopped singing while cooking, stopped fixing her hair, stopped looking at herself in the mirror. Every time Ayla tried to smile, guilt tightened around her like a chain. She believed she had failed her child, failed as a mother, failed as a human being. One night, she whispered through tears, "I can't watch her suffer anymore." And then she left, not because she didn't love Ayla, but because the pain was louder than love. Daniel became a single father in a house filled with echoes. He worked during the day, cooked at night, and learned how to braid hair with trembling hands. But more than anything, he learned how to sit beside his daughter's bed when she cried quietly, asking questions no child should ask. "Why me, Daddy?" Daniel never lied. "I don't know," he said, pressing his forehead to hers. "But I know we're not done." Every morning before work, he lifted Ayla from her bed and carried her outside. He let her feel the cold ground with her fingers, the warmth of the sun on her face. He believed the body remembered things the mind forgot. At night, when Ayla slept, Daniel studied old rehabilitation manuals, handwritten notes from retired nurses, grainy videos from parents who had been told there was no hope. He listened to people no one else listened to. He didn't have machines or money. So he used patience. He turned therapy into play. Wooden frames became walking games. Ropes became balance tools. Songs became timing exercises. When Ayla cried from pain, he stopped. When she laughed, he pushed gently forward. Weeks passed with no change. Months passed with nothing but exhaustion. There were nights Daniel sat alone in the kitchen, staring at his hands, wondering if he was torturing his child for a dream that didn't exist. But every morning, Ayla looked at him with trust in her eyes. So he continued. One afternoon, while helping her stretch, Daniel felt something different beneath his fingers. A tiny movement, almost invisible. Ayla gasped. "Daddy, did you see that?" Her toes had moved, just slightly. Daniel swallowed hard, his heart pounding like thunder. He didn't cry, he didn't celebrate, he simply smiled and said softly, "Again, sweetheart, let's try again." There were no headlines, no miracle doctors, just a small house where discipline, love, and patience became a daily ritual. Ayla's progress was slow, so slow that most people would have quit long before. But Daniel measured success differently. A lifted heel, a longer stand, one less fall than yesterday. He celebrated effort, not results. Every morning began the same way. Stretching, balance, gentle steps between wooden rails he had built himself. Some days Ayla cried from frustration. Some days she laughed when she fell and Daniel caught her just in time. Through it all, he never rushed her. "You're not late," he always told her. "You're right on time." On a quiet afternoon, as sunlight spilled across the living room floor, something extraordinary happened without warning. Ayla stood up without holding onto anything. Her knees trembled, her arms reached instinctively for balance, and her breath came in short bursts. "Daddy," she whispered, afraid to move. "I'm standing." Daniel turned around slowly. For a moment, he forgot how to breathe. He wanted to run to her, to grab her, to protect her, but he stayed where he was. "I see you," he said gently. "I trust you." One step, she wobbled, nearly falling. Then another, and another. When Ayla finally collapsed into his arms, both of them were shaking, not from fear, but from disbelief. Daniel buried his face in her hair and cried for the first time in 2 years. The day Ayla's mother returned, she expected silence. She expected a wheelchair. She expected proof of her failure waiting behind the door. Instead, she heard footsteps. Slow, uneven, real. She turned just in time to see Ayla walking toward her, gripping the wall for support, her face glowing with determination. Her mother's legs gave out. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing uncontrollably, unable to lift her eyes, overwhelmed by shame, regret, and wonder. She pressed her forehead to the ground, crying the tears she had held inside for years. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Daniel knelt beside her, his voice calm, without anger. "Look at her," he said softly. Ayla stood there, shaky but proud. Later, when doctors reviewed Ayla's progress, they called it unexpected improvement. When a reporter asked Daniel how he did what billionaire doctors could not, he gave a simple answer. "They tried to cure her condition," he said. "I chose to believe in my child." Ayla still stumbles. She still works every day. But she walks. And sometimes, love succeeds where medicine stops.